Welcome to SAP Production Planning Training. So, in the second class today, we're going to cover the topic overview of production processes. So, in this topic, basically, we'll talk about just an overview of how the SAP production processes works in SAP, and also we're talking about the SAP Navigation. So, the topics that we're going to cover, they are order to cash cycle, types of data in SAP, organizational structure in SAP, manufacturing types, and SAP navigation. So let us start with order to cash cycle. Now typically what happens in a business scenario? Okay, so let's see an overview. So first of all, say here you can see number one, which is a customer. Okay, they will place an order for us. They will send us an order, and the order will be received by SD department, sales and distribution department, which is number two. So customer will send the order, sales department will receive the order, and they will create a sales order in SAP SD system. Then, so say my company is manufacturing, say, laptop. We receive an order for few laptops. So we receive the order, and the third step will be material management. We need to manufacture the laptops. Now, of course, to manufacture something, we need some raw materials. So the material management or the MM module will do some planning. Okay, and if we need some raw materials, say we need to buy some motherboard, hard disk, screens, and all that. So the material management department will, if we do not have enough stock, then MM department will place an order, purchase order for our vendor to deliver the raw material. So step number 4 will be vendor will receive a purchase order and they will supply us the raw material, whatever we need. And the number 5 step will be production planning. So now the production of the laptop will start here because we received all the raw materials. And once the production is done, we'll send the goods to the customer. We'll ship the goods, ship the laptop to the customer. And finally, once the goods are delivered to the customer, the data will be flown to, or the confirmation will be flown to the finance department, so that invoices will be sent to the customer, and also the vendor will be paid for the raw materials. Okay, so that is how a typical environment works in SAP or in a business process. So we receive the order, and then planning, and then production, and finally invoicing. Types of data in SAP. We have basically 3 types of data in SAP. Number 1 is master data. Number 2 is transactional data. Number 3 is customizing data. Okay. So master data, let's discuss about master data. So master data, everything involves around master data basically. Okay, so master data, we have different types of master data. For example, we can have material master data, material master record. In the next chapter, in the next video, I'll show you in detail about master data and all that. And other type of master data is work center. Work center means machine. We have bill of material, we'll talk it later. Routing, we'll talk it later. So these types of master data we have in our standard SAP. We'll create this master data so that these master data can be used by the transactional data. So let's see what is transactional data. So transaction data means when we create a transaction, so the transaction can be creating a production order in SAP PP, creating a sales order in SAP SD, or can be creating a purchase order in SAP MM. So these are the transactions. So whenever we create a transaction, system will read the master data and get the information from the master data. For example, when you create a production order, you need to enter some material. You need to enter some material code. whatever the material you want to manufacture. So that means you enter the material code here only, but system will fetch all the details of the material like description, units of measure, weight and all that from the material master record. So we'll see this in practical later on. This is just an overview. Same goes for sales order. So basically you can think like, if you look at the bottom of the picture here, you can see we have, say, basically two types of material. So we're using the raw material to manufacture the finished goods. All right, so for the finished goods, when the customer will be placing an order which is sales order, okay, so we'll be using the finished goods in the sales order that we need to deliver. However, for the raw material we need to purchase, so we need to purchase the raw material. We'll create a purchase order and send it to the vendor for purchasing purpose. So once we receive the raw material, then we'll be creating a production order. So production order will be created, and production order will be created and it will be showing that we'll use this raw material to make this finished goods. Okay, so that is how the master data will work. Then we have customizing data. What is customizing data? Customizing data is that we customizing the system. Okay, so as I said earlier, this training is all about basically learning customizing, how we can customizing the SAP solution for a business requirement. Okay, can be automobile industry, can be pharmaceutical company. So how we can customize the data. So that's the customizing data. So you can, as I said, you can divide the data into three types: master data, transactional data, customizing data. So depending on the customizing, system will have a different behavior the way we want it. So we'll talk about customizing later on. Then we have org structure in SAP. What is org structure in SAP? So here you can see in just an overview of the SAP SD, sales and distribution org structure. Okay, so in SD what they use is they have a sales area. Okay, now few of the org units remains the same for SD, MM and PP module. However, all these modules have their own org structure. Okay, so here I'm just giving you overview. Like they have a sales organization in SD, they have a distribution channel, they have a division, and they have shipping point. However, the company code they also use the plant, they also use the storage location. But these three things, company code, plant and storage location, they are commonly used between SD, MM and PP. So these are the common org structure org units. Then if you look here, SAP MM org structure, here also you can see they basically using here at the bottom, you can see at bottom of the screen, you can see purchasing organization and purchasing group. This is specific to SAP MM. However, the SAP MM also uses client, company code, plant, store location. Now these org units will be commonly used between SD, MM and PP. Then finally, when you look into the PP org structure, here we also using plant, basically plant, and plants are assigned to company codes are assigned to controlling area assigned to client. Again, the client here, the controlling area, the company code and the plant are commonly used, as I said, between different modules. So once we start some customizing of the org structure later on, I will be showing you how you can customize the org structure from scratch. Now we'll discuss about manufacturing types. What is manufacturing types? Now from SAP PP module perspective, we have three types of manufacturing in SAP PP system. Number one is repetitive manufacturing. Then we have discrete manufacturing, and then we have process industries. Okay, now we'll discuss about detail about each of them later on, but here I'm just giving an overview about what does it mean. Now repetitive manufacturing is, in this type of manufacturing, products remain unchanged over a longer period and are not manufactured in individual defined lots. That means continuous production is going on for a specific product. There is no stoppage, no lot size, no fixed quantity, no changes. So only constant production of one particular material over a long period of time. Okay, as the name is saying, repetitive. Okay, so repeat, that means repeat. Instead, a total quantity is produced over a certain period of at a certain rate. Okay, so that means one constant production of a product, and the total quantity is produced over a certain period and a certain rate. Then the second type we have is discrete manufacturing. So in discrete manufacturing, in this type involves varying the sequence of work center through which the products can pass during production. Okay, so work center means machines. We'll talk about work center in a separate topic later on. But for now, in this type of manufacturing, one product can be going through different machines. Okay, for example, if you need to manufacture a car or a bike, then it's not only one machine that can make all the component, can make the 100% of the product ready. So the car or the product will be going through different machines, different work center. Okay, so that's discrete manufacturing. And then the order of work center or the machine is determined in routing, which can often be very complex. Okay, so we'll create all the data in routing. Routing is a master data. We'll talk about routing later on, but we'll define that a product will be passing through these machines in a master data known as routing. So routing will be defined that whether this product will be going through which machines, what sequence, and all that. Again, we'll discuss them later on in detail. There can be waiting times between the individual work centers. So if the product is going through machine number 1, that needs to go through machine number 2 and 3. But machine number 2 and 3 may be busy, and there can be waiting times for this product to be processed on those machines. That's what it means. Then the third type is process manufacturing. This is used mainly in a process industry, where in process is usually batch managed. Okay, so this is basically where the product is manufactured in batches. Okay, in a batch size, batch lot. In this manufacturing, you copy the process described in the master recipe and adjust it to the actual production run. So you copy whatever the recipe required to make the product from the master recipe. It is primarily designed for the chemical, pharmaceutical, food and beverage industries, as well as the batch-oriented electronic industry. That means if you think about any pharmaceutical company or a food company or a chemical company, if they need to, say, pharmaceutical company, they need to make some medicine. What will they will do? There's a fixed formula to make them that medicine. So that's where the master recipe will come into picture. So the formula will be copied from the master recipe, and then the medicine will be created. Same goes for food or any beverage or any chemical. So that's a process manufacturing. Now all these three manufacturing we'll talk later on in more details. Now here we'll talk about SAP Navigation. Now this topic is especially for people who have never seen the SAP screen before. So here I'll be showing you how the SAP screen works, how we can log in, and what are the different functionality within SAP screen. But the more we do practicals later on in the next topics, the more you will learn. So the topics we'll see here is what is SAP GUI icon, how to log into SAP, how to reset a password, standard SAP screen for all modules, menu path for transaction, command bar, favorite transaction, F1 help, and F4 search, and also multiple SAP session. So here, let us discuss about SAP GUI icon. What is SAP GUI icon? Once you enroll for the training, I'll be sending you a link from where you can download the SAP GUI icon. Once you download the icon, you will see a little icon on your desktop like this one. It can be downloaded to a Mac PC and also a Windows PC. That's not a problem. So once you download this icon on your PC, you need to log into the SAP server. So you need to double click on it and select the SAP ECC system and click and double click on the SAP ECC system. Double click on that. It will open a screen for you, and here you need to enter your user ID and password that will be given to you after you enroll. That's how you log in. Also, when you log in, let me open one more screen here. During login, if you for any reason you want to change your password, so during login, enter your original password here and then click on this new password icon if you want to reset your password. Otherwise, you can keep the same password, that's not an issue. So here I'm logging to the SAP screen. So this is how the SAP standard screen look like all over the world. That's the standard SAP screen used by all companies, all business, everywhere, all over the world. Then we talk about how to reset a password. I've shown you standard SAP screen for all modules. Now this SAP screen is also standard across all modules. That means either I'm working SAP SD, or I'm working as a BAP person, or I'm working as PP consultant, or I'm working as MM consultant. Everyone will be logging into the same screen and will see the same standard screen here. Okay, so that's a common screen for everyone. Even within a business, whether the end user in sales or production or material management, purchasing, finance, they're logging onto the SAP system, all of them will see the same screen or will follow the same login process, exactly same. Menu path for transaction. So what that is, so here you can see, for example, I want to go to production planning menu. You can go to logistics, and here you can see production. Open that, and here you can see the different production menu path like master data. If you want to create master data, you can see material master. Here you can create the material master, create and all that, and close the master data, and then you can see bill of material. You can create bill of material here. There's a bill of material menu path. We'll discuss about bill of material later on. Then if you want to create some transaction, for example, let me close master data, go to production planning, shop floor control, and here under shop floor control you can see order, create. Here you can create production order. Okay, so different menu. So basically this, whatever menu you see under production, that will be used by PP people or the PP consultant or the PP end user. However, the purchasing people or the MM consultant, they will be using this menu path, material management, that one. Okay, they will see purchasing, purchase order and all that. Sales people will be using the sales and distribution menu path here. So here they can create sales order and all that. So in real time, people can see the same screen. However, everybody has access to their own limited transactions. That means if I'm the production person, if I'm the PP consultant or I'm the PP end user, I can only access the data within production here. Okay, I can go into this one and I can open the icon, I can execute the transaction. However, as an end user, if I try to go to sales and distribution and try to execute a transaction here, I will get an error message saying I do not have authorization. That means every person within a business they will get the access to only those transaction or those menu, whatever is required for their day-to-day business. Okay, it's not like everybody will have access to everything. It's not like that. Production people will have access to the production stuff. Material management people will have their purchasing stuff access, and same goes for sales people. They will have sales access only. They can still see the menu path, but they can't do anything. They will get a message, you are not authorized. And then we have a command bar. Okay, now for example here, if say, let me close that. If I want to create a material master, say I'll open that here, open material master, material, create journal, mm01. Okay, so immediately if I double click on that transaction, double click on it, it will open a screen for you here. Here you can create the material master. We'll discuss later on how to create it, but for now you can see that's how it works. So the transaction code is mm01. So either you can open the long menu path, or you can directly type here transaction on the command bar on the top here where the cursor is. If I type here mm01, press enter, here you can see it will go to the same screen. That means we do not really need to go through this long menu path. I can directly enter the transaction here, mm01, press enter directly. Okay, so however, you do not need to remember or memorize the transactions. You will automatically remember it once you start doing some practicals. You will automatically remember. So that's the menu path here. And then we also have a thing called favorite transaction. What favorite transaction is, here you can see favorite. Every user have their own favorite. I can create my own favorite. You can create your own favorite. A third person can create their own favorite. That is user specific. That means here you can see I just executed production mm01. So if there are few transactions that I use every day, I can create them as favorite. Okay, so here under the favorite, I will right click, insert transaction. I already have few favorites created here. So if I want to add something else, right click on favorite, insert transaction, and here enter the transactions mm01 and say click on this button. OK. So here you can see it's added here in my menu here. That's mm01. Now next time I do not need to go to the long menu path. I can, instead of going here in the long menu path, I can directly double click on this transaction under favorite. So that's why the favorite is here. So any transaction that you use most commonly on the day-to-day basis, you can add them as favorites. Same way, if I show you another example, say production, that was the master data. If I open shop for control, order CO01, which is to create a production order, CO01, double click on that, it will open the production order creation screen. Here it is. So I can go back. I can also add this one as favorite. Right click here, insert transaction, CO01, enter. There you go. You have two favorites. You can drag and drop. You can move this one up. If I drag and drop here on the top, you can see mm01 will come on the top of CO01. There you go. mm01 is here. We also have the option to create folders. I can create some folder here. Like you can see, there's a folder called vendor, and under vendor we have few transactions. Same way I can create a folder here if you want. You can right click on it, right click on favorite. You can click on insert folder. Give a folder name. For example, you can call whatever XYZ, or for example, I'll call it production order. Say OK. So here's my folder. So you can add some more transaction under folder. I can right click on the folder, and click on insert transaction, or I can drag and drop. I can drag this transaction CO01 and I can drop it to production order folder. There you go. I'll drag and drop both of them. Okay, so here we have CO01 under production order, and now I will drag MM01 as well. Drag it here under folder. So you can see under I have this folder production order. Under that I have two transactions. So same way you can create different folders as we go further. So you can create one folder for master data. You can create one folder for material master, one folder for production order, one folder for MRP, things like that. So whatever topic we learn, if you want, you can keep creating folder and your favorite transactions. F1 help. What F1 help is, now as we go through the different transaction or different screens in SAP, it provides you some help if you want. For example, if I go to MM01, here to create a material, I need to enter some material number, whatever material number I want to create. Say I want to create material called XYZ345. And then I need to select an industry type. Okay, so I'm selecting mechanical engineering or whatever industry type. But if you need to know what does it mean, what does industry type mean, what does material type means, what they are, I can select something from the drop down. But if I want to know that what it's all about, you can put the cursor on that field and press F1 on your PC. F1. If I press F1 here, it will open the detail of that. What is material type? It will open all the detail here for you for understanding. So most of the fields, almost all the fields you can see in SAP, they all have F1 help. Okay, so what is chain number? F1 here. This is the meaning of chain number. All the detail about that field. Okay, so that is the F1 help. And then you have the F4 search help. That means here if you want to I want to create this material, I can copy it from other materials. So to copy it from other materials, I can either click on, to search for the material, I can click on this little icon on the corner here, little icon. I can click on this icon and I can search for those material, or I can press F4. Either you can press F4 or either you can click on this little icon, same thing. If I press F4 now, it will do the same thing. It will open me a search box. Here I can search for a material. We'll talk about this one later on. That's our F4 help. I can go back. And then we have multiple SAP sessions. What that means is, a user in standard system, a user can open maximum of 6 sessions. That means at the same time I can work on 6 different SAP screens. For example, here I'm creating a material MM01. Okay, so I have created half of the material, say for example, and now immediately I need to create a production order or change a production order. So instead of going back from this screen and without saving your data, I can open another session. Click on this little screen here, create new session, and here you can see that opened another session. If I move the screen here, then you can see another screen. You see we have 2 screens here. And same way, if you want to another session, you can click on third screen. That's the third screen here. So you can third screen. So I can minimize one screen. I can work on this screen, CO01. I can do something here. And once I'm done, I can come back to this screen. So maximum 6 screen you can work. It will not open more than 6 screens. So that's all about SAP Navigation, and that is also the end of overview of production process. And now from the next video, we'll be talking about the practical side of SAP, and we'll start the first practical topic from the next video. And I thank you very much for your time to watch this. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you very much.